If you're sick of your property costing you tens of thousands of dollars, well, today I've got two guests on that have helped tens of thousands of clients over the last 15 years turn their properties from negative cash flow to positive cash flow. And today I've got Doug and Simon in from Superior Granny Flats. It's lovely to meet you.
You too, Frankie boy.
You too, Frank.
Good to have you on the potty. So for the people, I guess, watching, I guess I'll start with yourself, Doug,
Yep.
and then we'll just take it to you, Simo, and then
No worries, mate.
go from there. But I guess who you are, how you started, what you guys do.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'm the director, owner of Superior Granny Flats. Claim to be the biggest granny flat builder in Australia.
He thinks he is.
Yeah, look, I started out as a carpenter about 27 years ago, and then grew into this position. Also, Bettenall Proprietary Limited, that my dad is a director of. He was involved in the government scheme as well of movable units department. So we were sort of in that industry. He was, painter, plasterer by trade. And then we actually, after building units for many different builders, worked out exactly what we wanted to do with our own private stuff. And the most affordable units, the quickest turnaround times, and then to try and take over the market. So it's very much a niche market. And we started out with the carpentry teams, and a lot of those guys are still around.
That's right.
Building. So, and for example, Simon is one of them. So, for 14 years. Yeah.
12 years now.
12 years. Sorry.
12 years. Crazy. Goes quick. And straight out of school.
Straight out of school, and he's joined Superior.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of the boys did.
Bennett, Mitch.
Yep.
Who else is there? Aaron.
Yep.
And even a lot of the guys now that are running teams now, they've been plus 5 years.
100%.
The contractors, they've been at 15 years, a lot of them.
Yep.
I couldn't remember the last new trade we had, to be honest.
Well, I tried to work out Mitch the other day.
He's come out the 20.
It was 18 years.
Yeah, there you go.
18
it's
years.
pretty crazy.
And it seemed strange because we were doing a bit of content on it and we said 18 years, but he doesn't look that old.
Yeah.
You think he's been there his whole life? I think he was 14 when he started with me.
Jeez.
14. So
it seems
Well,
like
17.
You've got a very niche team.
Yeah.
It's like a family.
yeah, it is like a family. So
It
that's
really
how
is,
we've been.
which
really
is a good thing and a
successful.
bad thing.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, look, people have gone over the years, but they've been with us for 15, 17 years and they've gone to do bigger and better things.
Yep.
They're at other companies, project managers, directors, started their own thing.
Yep.
So a lot of them come back.
A lot of them come.
Yeah.
We always say that. We've got a
Welcome
saying
them
at
back.
Superior Granny Flats, they always come back.
I like that.
But it's very much anyone that's in the granny flat industry knows that it's a niche market.
Yeah.
And especially like our trades, our electricians have been around forever. They say it's the gossip granny flat industry. We know the other builders, the other directors of the companies, and everyone talks. So he's doing this where, he's undercutting
I think that's more in Victoria.
Yeah, definitely in Victoria. Yeah.
Because that's where really granny flats, well, they say Sydney, but granny flats from a government point of view, doing social housing is where it really originated from in 1975.
Yeah, 1975.
When your dad started?
We've been doing it a very long time. So that's a bit of a different model where people can rent them on their pension and things like that. And we come in and we move one from an existing house. So we get the tender. We were the number one tenderer for years to pull them out, 50 or 60 a year, either store them at our factory and then refurbish them and move them into a new site.
Okay.
So that's where we got our work ethic and processes from, moving units very quickly and refurbishing them quickly. And our trades are built around that model.
And now that model's changed now from what you guys do because you build from the ground up.
We do.
Site now. Yeah.
We do. We still move those units for the government.
Okay.
But it's very hard to get the trades to want to do it. It's dirty work, hard work. A lot of
That's what I did my whole apprenticeship on. Well, you did it. Well, you almost did it as well.
But I think it makes them.
Yeah.
It makes them great tradespeople. So, and their work ethic is through the roof. So when they get on the new stuff, they really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
I could imagine. So when you started to now,
Yep.
what has changed in the industry when it comes to this granny flats?
well, they're pretty much houses now. That's the biggest thing. So everyone thinks of a granny flat as a fibro cement sheet or of a shipping container. That's what they used to be. They're the ones that we move. And we're still trying to upgrade them to current building standards, which is really hard. But now I look at them as houses. We call them second small dwellings, and that's what they are. So that's the biggest change.
That's why they changed the terminology to second small dwellings, because they are a dwelling now. They've never been classified a dwelling.
Yep.
So the bank wouldn't loan them. You couldn't get funding. It was very hard to get funding from a bank unless you drawed equity out of a property.
Yep.
Now you can actually get proper construction lending because they're a rentable asset. That's the biggest difference.
Yep.
And when did that come into play? How many years ago?
Well, we were lucky enough that we did a lot of homework on Queensland and couldn't believe that you could build these second dwellings in Queensland and the size of them and how cheap the house prices were 14, 15 years ago. So we quickly shifted to up there because the model here in Victoria was only for family. Dependent person's unit had to be relocatable, added no value to your house. Up there was the opposite. So we were sort of the pioneers of going up there and hitting that market, and it exploded, absolutely exploded. And we always said, hopefully one day it's going to change in Vic, and it did. In the last 18 months or 2 years.
Well, 3 years
Is
now.
it 3 now?
It's
It's gone quick.
Yeah,
It's gone
3
quick.
years.
But as soon as it
It's
changed,
crazy.
and we're still so it didn't take off and explode here because people still think granny flats are a modular building. They add no value. Even brokers are still telling them it's going to add no value to your house.
Yep.
Don't put the money into it.
Even banks.
Yep.
Banks, like bank valuations, like far out.
Our clients are the same as well.
You would know, yeah, you would
It's going
know.
to devalue the house. Do you reckon it's going to do this? And always have a chat with you guys and we speak about it.
It's crazy.
We look at case studies.
It's crazy, man.
It doesn't.
But
So,
it's essentially, it's doing a subdivision, but obviously we know it's two dwellings on one title. So we're the capital is half the amount you're putting in, if not a third.
Yep.
And the rental income that you're getting out of it is fantastic. It's not devaluing your property because you can do them in brick now. They don't have to be relocatable. You can put them on a slab. Sydney have been onto it for a long time and they absolutely love it because you're sitting in that space where you can't subdivide because you might not have that 300 square metres to subdivide. You only need potentially 100 square metres to get this 60 square metre unit and make it work for the pathway and easements and things like that. So
what are the rules and regulations when it comes to these granny flats in, say, Victoria? We'll start there because I know you guys do Queensland as well.
Yep.
Like what are the rules and regulations?
Well, that's a bit of a thing that people get confused about too. So when they came out and said there's no permits required, everyone's running around building 60 square metre units with no permits.
well, every day the phone would ring.
Yeah. We don't need permits. Because we'd say, we give them a fee for planning and permits. Well, there's no permits. We don't need that.
Why do I have to pay for that? Yeah. The government said that. They would say the government said you don't need any permits. We're like, fuck.
So the government had to wind that back, and the VBA said to the government, Sonia Kilkenny's office at the time, the planning minister, can you educate people? It needs a building permit always over $10,000 worth of work, and in some cases still needs planning. Okay, so if you're buying in a bushfire management overlay, a flood overlay, environmental significance, it still needs planning, like a normal house would. And those clients can get frustrated at times because it can be caught up in the system. Yep. We can't control that. Yep. But if we meet all the indicators, like it can have a pathway to the unit, it's got enough private open space, there's no overlooking, issues and things like that, it can be quite a fast track process as long as the councils. So we always still get planning advice, no matter what. So basically you go to the planning department and say, here's a concept, give us your advice, and they come back and say it doesn't need planning.
Yeah, okay.
Because it could be a protected tree next door, the root system or something like that, where we're in 4 metres of that canopy protection next door. So we want to be right with it. But in saying that, it is a good fast track system. Yeah. So and
we've got permits in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, so if you've got a good investor client, and that client is easy to approve drawings within a day, because otherwise if it's a retail client, they take 2 weeks because they're going to actually live in the thing. We've had permits in 6 weeks, like quite common.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
It's extremely rare that anything would ever get knocked on the head, even with planning. We had one due to a flood overlay, and it was literally in a spoon drain with 5 metres of flood water coming through the back of the property. So, and we still tried to plead our case about putting it up on stilts and things like that. That's the only one we couldn't go ahead with.
Yeah, okay.
So it's pretty likely you can do them.
It's a pretty good strike rate.
Yeah.
So how's the process work? Like, let's say you got 6 weeks, you said, get it approved.
Yep.
Then what's the process of build and turnkey?
So when, like, the permits are always the ones that people get most nervous about, but to us it's the easiest one because we have a program that allows us to do the full research. And when we provide them the quote or we look at the planning, we can tell everyone up front off the program. We don't need to come to site. We can check it on the program. We can look at elevations. We can look at easements, all the things that people stress about because they hear it from the government. We can make it really easy. So if they're approving their drawings quick, we're going to get a permit quick. So if we get a permit within 6 weeks, which is highly likely for more so an investor client, I'll make that clear. Once we're on site, it only takes 12 weeks because we can control all the materials from our premises. That's the biggest game changer in the granny flat builder is most conventional builders, they don't have the facilities where they can hold all the materials like a Bunnings or a Mitre 10 or a Bowens. So they're relying on these other third-party companies to get the materials to site, where with us, it comes from our premises.
Yep.
And that's why we've built that the whole way, even from when I started 12 years ago.
Yep.
We've always had that model where if you can control the material and you can control the outcome on site, you're going to be able to build that dwelling in 12 weeks. So you add 12 and 6, 18 weeks. pretty quick.
Yeah, that's
you know, and that's happening at the moment in Victoria. Not so much in Queensland because we've got an influx of work there at the moment, which is really great.
Yep.
But when the teams are really building 130 jobs is the sweet spot all year round, we can build them within pretty quick time frame.
And that's right. Our whole model has been set up around volume. So to do volume, you need the facilities, and you need these teams.
How big is your team?
We've got 8 teams of carpenters.
Yeah,
now,
so
that's 4-man
each.
teams. Now that's just carpenters.
Yep.
Every electrical team, plumbing teams that come in after.
Painting teams. There's 5 painting crews.
Yeah, you got three project managers in each state, construction manager, and you need to have those 3 to 4-man team that have been around forever. They're just not subbies you get off the street. And to keep those teams, you need consistency of work.
Yeah.
They need to be making good money. So that's how we can get our unit into a really good price point, and guarantee the turnaround time. So unlike these overnight builders, we call them, that everyone's like, oh, there's money in granny flats. They come in, they might be cheaper initially. Firstly, they've just come in. So are they going to honour their warranty periods and things like that? But they can only do one job at a time. And they're waiting for that to come through planning or a permit, and all their trades they're working on other jobs. So they're not loyal to them, and that's where you're going to get time delays.
But even with that as well, having in-house design. So Doug's brother's an architect. So we have an architecture license and a building license.
Yeah.
Having an architecture license allows us to do on-the-spot drawing changes. So if you need a triangle unit built, we can build a triangle unit, which we've done before.
Yeah.
So every backyard that most people would say you can't build on because they've only got their set plans, we're not like that.
And that happens all the time.
All the
doesn't
time.
it? We get told
All the time.
We went to another company. They said we can't build. It comes to us. We're doing. A lot of them don't even do firewalls. So we can go onto boundaries with the fire rated walls if we get the correct heights.
Not on an easement. Make that clear.
Not on an easement. Yeah.
So firewall will be like if you want to build right against the fence, put
Correct.
a firewall there, and you can
That's
use
right.
all that boundary up.
So a lot of them don't want
That's
to
right.
use firewall systems.
Yep.
It's too hard. They don't know how to do it. And so we have that approved by our building surveyors, that method. So that gives you that space, that extra 1.2 metres to go to a boundary if there's no easement, like Simon said. And we do custom shape. Like we got one at the moment. It's a triangle. There's an arrow-shaped unit.
Yeah.
We do some crazy designs.
We built what was the dinosaur unit? What was that?
There was a dinosaur unit.
Really?
It looked like a dinosaur.
Yeah, it was a dinosaur unit.
It's famous.
And
It's
that
on
was
our wall.
13-metre boundary. So the people use it. They removed the
funny.
carport, got it down the side of the house, firewall either side, and they needed it. Like they needed that unit. That wasn't to rent out. That was for family. But we can work with those spaces. Other companies say that's just too hard. We're not going to make any money.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
But we can do it.
We've got to design all the truss system for that. Nothing straightforward. So
So what's your point of difference you take compared to other companies that do what you do?
Well,
question.
I think we sit in that affordable still. So we've got multiple ranges. So we have an affordable range, which is a quicker method as well. So it's a panel system roof. It locks up really quick. At the moment, the boys in 2 weeks they're getting them locked up, and the roof's on everything.
Yep.
You're doing the fix, you're done, and you're up to painting. Unlike the conventional method where the frame goes up, you lock it up, the plasterers comes in afterwards. That's a lot quicker. So we hit with the sort of the superior range is still affordable, still fantastic value, but cheaper than those top end granny flat builders. Now, when I say top end, we are top end, but we're just more affordable.
Yep.
Because of our volume.
Yeah, because of our volume.
We would do the most volume across Australia.
So that's what we say
long
to
shot.
people. Like they go to other competitors and say, "What have they got different?" Well, they're actually a really good company. But they only build one a week, and that's why they've got another 20% margin on their units. So you're going to get the same unit for this price. Now, if we want to go investor market or some of the lower, some of the areas where we don't want to overcapitalise, that affordable range unit, another $15,000 cheaper. And it's a fantastic
100% it
system.
is.
And it's tried and tested.
Yeah.
So we're not just making something overnight. Those units we've been building for 20 years.
What's the price ranges? I know it's very variable, but like say from bottom end to top end.
You could say 60 square metre, again, like just talking retail units, so no metering, landscaping, all that works. You're looking at now 185 to 190.
Yep.
And then you go on top end like an 80 square metre, depending if you're in Queen, because you can rent out an 80 square metre in Queen. That's important to know.
Yep.
Probably looking 240, 250.
Yep.
Then you got your metering, if you do fencing, if you want stone and all that jazz,
Yep.
But the unit itself with designs, permit, service connection, that's probably the range now, that 180 from a 60 square metre, which is where like you don't really want to build anything less for a rentable asset, all the way to 80, you're probably talking 185, 190 to 240, 250.
Yeah.
It's pretty good value when you think about it.
definitely.
Like especially what we always say, and this is important for like when we talk about dual dwellings and what you guys do, right? It's wherever you buy and wherever you build, the only thing that's going to change is the purchase price of your dwelling, but your build cost is always going to stay the same. So we had a client that we built they came through Superior. They had the property, I think, for 14 years, and then they went and spent, this is before our prices went up, but I think they spent with the metering 210, so it's full tenant ready, in Mulgrave, and they get $525 a week.
Yep.
So do the yield on that.
Yeah.
And when she told us that, we were blown. Me and him were blown away. I couldn't believe it.
I think that's another point of difference too, because we're aware of the investor market, right?
Yeah.
We're not just trying to sell a top end granny flat. So if that the yields have to stack up. So they'll come to us and say we've got 150. We'll say that's unrealistic. You're never going to get the yields out of it. Don't purchase a property. We can even give them that advice, right?
Yeah.
But we can then still cater units to 160 plus all your services and things. Make it a bit smaller, 55 square meters. You're going to get the same rent. Yeah. Downgrade the kitchen size, things like that. That's where we're open to that. We have those conversations with other, with people, with investors, and to meet their budgets.
But you guys have a property management team, so that must help with that, giving that advice and understanding 100%. The market as well.
We can get rental appraisals.
And I think one of the important things to say before we go to the property is from a point of difference, right? We actually understand investing.
Yeah.
So a lot of these other granny flat companies, like they said, they are great companies, but we've really hit the investor market. That's been one of our top. We've been building it out for 12 months to work with people like yourself, Frank, to really hit that market, especially in Victoria, because we've already done it in Queensland for 12 years. So bringing it into Victoria, we actually thought it would be a little bit easy, but we're just educating every day, aren't we? Like every day we're on the phones explaining it to them. Do they have to be, because everyone in Victoria thinks they're removable when they're not removable.
Yeah.
So a big point of difference is that we actually understand investing. So we're not always trying to sell a top end unit. We don't really care about that. We can bring it back down to make the yields work, like Doug was saying, which is important, which then leads to property management, which is a whole nother beast, isn't it?
And you said point of difference. So because we're looking at it from that investor point of view, it's got to be turnkey.
Yep.
It's got to be from the start. So as everyone knows, everyone's been burnt by a builder building a new house in a state. It starts out at 400,000. By the time you get all the extras, with these big companies, stone, light fittings.
Oh, that's Class P soil, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Everything's Class P soil.
But that's how they set their companies up. They sell the unit on 10% profit or 10% gross profit, and then all the extras, they're 100% profit. We don't do that. We're clear from the start, really clear with our clients, because it has to stack up. So when we give them a price, it's turnkey.
Yep.
From the start. They go, how can you haven't been out here? How do you know? We've got all the contours. We know everything.
The program.
The program. We know everything. We've looked at all the overlays, everything that they need to get it through. And the first thing we do is then, once they're ready to go, we're looking at their existing services. We're getting them all cameraed. So, we're going out there straight away to make sure there's no unforeseens, no trees that we have to cut down. We can see it on the program.
Yep.
But that we roll that all in. So other builders in the granny flat space are like volume builders, where they're going to sell you a unit for 150. We've seen it. We see the advertising and we laugh. But we're sick of telling people, and people get sign up, ends up being 200 every time.
Yep.
Every time. It's not real.
Because they're not factoring in all these fences and letter boxes. And I know they all sound like small things, but they all add up, don't they?
Well, they all add up. But even from like a retail unit, when you need it for family and stuff, there's always a clause in there saying service allowance.
Yep.
Service allowance. And how many units have you built? I think how much water you're going to do, how much sewer you're going to do, how much storm water you're going to connect. Like, where's the electrical board? Like this service allowance is where they get everyone.
Yep. Subject to soil test.
Subject to soil test. Like we built in every point in Victoria. I've told you this with your client, because you build more regional stuff. So we built every point in Victoria. So for us, we already know our foundation depths across Victoria. So we've just made a what's the word I'm looking for? A midpoint.
Yeah.
So some jobs we win, some jobs we lose, but by the end of the year, it all balances out.
Yeah, we average it out.
We average it out. That's the word I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
So these little differences, because we do the volume, we can do that. We understand that. Going off averages. It's the easiest way to get a turnkey build. Otherwise, it is hard to get a turnkey build.
Yep.
Full quoting every job would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like quoting every job specific, it'd be a nightmare. If we have our averages, we know what's going to work out by the end of the year. We know where our money will sit.
And the other thing, people they advertise without all the surveys and the soil tests, and it's really disjointed. Sometimes they'll say, do it as an owner builder, or those modular ones that you're talking about. Like you'll ring up and it's a shipping container. You've got to be the owner builder. You've got to get a certifier. You've got to get a feature survey, soil test. You're 15, 20 grand in.
Yeah.
with planning even more.
Yeah, I know.
25 grand. And then they find out they can't do it. And it happens all the time. Those clients come over to us and say, we've spent 25 grand and we got nowhere because we realized the certifier wasn't going to sign off the ceiling height or the electrical. So we know that, like, for a fact that there's about 12 grand to get the job even to a building permit without planning. By the time you do a feature survey, and that's the biggest things, because it's not modular, it's not relocatable, it's a full re-establishment survey, feature survey, soil test, you're 5 grand in with that straight away. Planning advice, building contracts, warranty insurance, all those things to get that, and then get the building permit, you're 12 grand in.
So you're set up, but you've got insurance as well.
Yeah,
of course.
That's right. We are the
100%.
builder.
Yep.
So that's another thing. When you see something that's cheap, granny flat, they're normally not builders either. We know that. They're carpenters that are trying to get you to do own a builder, and you've got just.
But it's actually true. Like I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah,
like
we see it all the time. And when people argue with us and say, no, he's a builder, but yeah, he might have been a builder, or but he's trying to get you to put it on, so there's no insurance.
Yeah.
There's no callback. So we had a lady the other day. She came in and she said, "Look, I signed up with a company. They were $6,000, $7,000 cheaper." And I looked them up and I knew who it was. And I said, just ask them if they've got any units to look at. Because they're a couple of the new ones, their websites are last year. And he said, yeah, we're building out the other side of the city. You can come out and have a look. And she said, okay, I will then. And he said, actually they're not off the ground yet. She said, is there a display? No display, but we've built heaps and sending all these photos. She got cold feet straight away. Yeah. She lost that money, came to us, and I actually knocked 6 grand off the price because she needed some pool pump equipment moved. We did all that in the price just to show her, because she could be a repeat customer or something like that. So she's a really nice lady, but they were trying to lead her down that path of we've built before. There's no display office. Look, you think even if he was a builder, is he going to come back in 6 or 7 years? I'm still talking to clients that are 10 years old. Not saying there's any problems with the units, but they might have a fan that conks out or a light that's not working.
Things happen here and there.
Yeah, we say
there's thousands of units out there, so people think that just warranties last forever.
Well, we get reviews. We'll go back and do stuff we don't have to do, and people will say they came back after the 7 years and did. There was a stump that needed replacing or something like that, or a weatherboard that's come off. Someone's hit it. And we'll do that.
So that's probably one of the most important parts of doing this the right way.
We can actually say it's on Google reviews. Yeah, we actually do it because not for granny. That's the beauty of granny flats as well. Is if there is minor maintenance, it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easier for us to just go in there, do a bit of caulking, replace the stump, jack it up. It's just easier than trying to find it. What's the point?
Yeah,
there's no need to, man. We've got teams everywhere. They're always in the area.
Well, that's exactly right. So because we're building at any one stage, we've got 50 builds on the go in Vic and 50 in Queensland, and that's everywhere. That's from Mildura to Portland to out to Lakes Entrance. Okay, so it doesn't cost a lot for us to call past and fix something.
Yep.
But if you go with a builder that's doing one-off builds, doing 10 a year, he's not going to drive back to Lakes Entrance. Yeah. That's $1,000. So every time to do anything, a light switch. So
what's the difference? So the modular home versus the granny flats, they're you saying modular. 40 grand
modular.
Like it's cheap, easy. They say these things shipped to your door quick.
Well, I'll fire a couple off, and I know you're passionate about modular stuff. But the biggest thing with modular is now, like we kept saying, so if you want to talk about pure rental, they got to meet Australian standards.
Yeah,
7-star government regulations, so whole of home livability. So whole of home is in regards to the way the building operates. So with the solar panels, air conditioning systems, heat pump, hot water servers, what LEDs, what cooktops, all that jazz, and then what installation requirement. But then you got livability. So wheelchair accessibility is the biggest thing that's come in Australia over the last 12 months, is it? 12 months now?
Yeah, I think the livability is coming over 12, 18 months.
Yeah, so all new dwellings have to have wheelchair-friendly accessibility if you can. There's parameters where if you can't, then you don't have to do a ramp, which is a lot of stuff we build in backyards. But walk-in bathrooms, making sure wheelchairs accessible hallways, so wheelchairs can get down hallways to a certain bedroom. All doorways at 870 mil, zero threshold. So when you're going from a transition of a doorway, it's a lot of external doors, slide doors, you can just roll straight over it. These modular buildings do not do any of that. No. And that's one of the biggest things that people get conned on.
Yep.
Is they've got to put on and they want to rent it out. We've had this before, and they can't rent it. Well, legally.
They can't rent it legally. Some of them, the shipping containers don't have habitable ceiling heights. It could be 2.1 meters, something like that. It's not even habitable for a bathroom.
That's right.
So
do you get finance for these things?
No.
No.
So you have to pay for it outright.
Pay for it outright. Yeah, and
That's another big one.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's huge.
that's
But it's still 150 grand.
Yeah.
yeah.
know,
Well,
there's
there was
still-
another builder that just went broke in Queensland just the other day, and they were building them off site.
Yeah.
And I think there was something like 50 deposits of 40,000 because they'll ask for 50.
Good business model.
They'll ask for, because they asked for 50. This is another thing. You cannot ask for more than 5% deposit
Yeah.
as a builder.
As a licensed, well said. As a licensed builder,
you
that's
cannot
very good.
now because they're building it off site. They model
Yeah.
it that you're purchasing the unit,
A kit.
a kit. So that's why the finance companies
Interesting.
won't touch it. Now I know Commonwealth Bank was working on something for that, but it's a massive risk for people
Yeah.
because there's going to be builders that set up and they sell these units 50% deposits and they're going to go broke, and you don't get any money back. There's no callback on it.
Like, I can see it from a retail point of view because like they're saying it's for family or caregiving or their kids. Like I understand, but from a rental point of view, whether you're spending 220 on a turnkey unit or 150, what for 70 grand you're going to finance it? What's the big deal?
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what I can never understand. Like that's another educational thing that we have to go. Probably not a lot in Queensland, more in Victoria at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because people are just trying to test the waters here. Like 12 years ago, we went through this in Queensland. Now in Queensland, property managers know what they're doing to a degree. The clients, they know what they know what to ask for. It's very common to sell a property with a granny flat. With Victoria, it's like you're going through it all again, and that's probably another advantage we got.
Yeah.
We know what to say, but it's freaking annoying, I can tell you.
And when you talk about
It's annoying.
modular too, we've got the advantage with the government stuff. We actually designed and built modular units for the bushfires. So King Lake, Marysville, and they went back into the system. So they don't, they're actually relocated. They came down into panels. And we think that they were actually the closest thing to being able to be energy efficient. So a timber frame wall module, and then you got caps that lock it all in, the floor as well, and the roof system panels. Now we know that it won't meet 7-star now.
Yeah.
You cannot. Doesn't matter what we did to it, battened it, double the roof space up, it won't meet it. And we used to use shower modules, shower bases, lammy panel on the walls. That can be a second bathroom, but now you need to have tiled, waterproofed wet areas with the flush transition. You can't transport that.
Yeah.
It'd all crack.
Yeah.
It's not happening. So, that's where we think it's a bit of a con now. The module homes. So, I think Queensland still have some legislation in place for relocatables, but no one's buying them. Because you think about living in a cool room panel house up there, it'd be boiling hot.
Oh, it'd be terrible.
And we found that with the government once. We were having issues in your climate zone 7. So, your really cold climates and your really hot climates, they weren't breathing.
Yeah.
So, mold issues with panels, with any foam wall panels and aluminium, it gets down into the channels. You get that heat transfer issue, mold all around the channels, and it doesn't breathe. So,
What happens, man? We've seen it.
Yeah, it's really bad. It rots
Happens
out.
more than people think. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So
they just don't have an understanding of building
They don't,
and how
of
things-
granny flats. That's the thing. You're trying to say, actually the word granny flats is probably like the biggest one.
Yeah.
Like we would love to change.
Well,
Like,
it's our identity. We love it.
yeah, we love.
But we're trying to change people's thinking on granny flats.
Yeah.
Because even the trades turn their nose up at it. Let's just say to keep teams with us over the years. Well, we want to build houses. We want to do framing. We want to do renos.
Yeah.
But now they're houses,
Yeah.
It's
and they all want in. They all want in. When they said, "Oh, this is all right."
yeah.
this
Once
is
they
all right.
get in, but getting
So-
them in. Oh, granny flats.
Yeah.
Granny flats.
So, but now with on slabs, we're moving towards a lot of slabs now too. Trying to get the heights of the units down for that, for the ramp access and boundary walls and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing as well. So
We're actually excited about that.
well, the bricks as well makes it look
In
like
the right
a house.
area, right? Because
Yeah,
you're going to be building that unit, a 60 square meter, probably 245, 250, 260. But in the right areas, like we did one in Montana.
Yeah.
Good pocket of Montana. We matched the brick to the house. It looks cool.
Yeah. It looks
You know,
nice.
and the valuation on that,
Stacks up more.
100% it does.
So that's probably the most important part. People get fearful of doing a granny
Yeah.
flat because of compromising, like you said at the beginning, front house,
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yep.
You guys have got strategies to help with that with some clients.
Yep.
Well, that's where we can touch on dual dwelling a little bit. Is that cool?
It's fine.
So we have a business a little bit similar to yours, but we only focus on helping clients buy property. It can actually have a second dwelling built on it, right? And the reason we created that is when we finally could rent out the units in Victoria, we said, hey, this is a good time for us to open up another little arm of our business that can actually generate work for Superior, but also help clients that want to do the strategy start to finish, right? Which we think is pretty cool. But going back to that, well, when even our clients come straight to the building company because they got a property, we understand that we want to make the properties look subdividable.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest one, because that's what we've had with our own experience on our properties that we did at the start of this legislation coming into Vic. the valuers, if they see it tied up and it doesn't feel right on them, they think in their head it's a granny flat, especially in Victoria more so.
Yep.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the biggest thing. Like people say, oh, I can, can I put like when they come to us with a property, but it fits, and we're like, it's going to devalue the house. You're not going to have 2 renters in it.
Yeah.
And that's what we
massive.
see is different to other companies pushing their units right up against the front house, pathway access down the side. Now that might be okay in New South because they don't have any land and it's so expensive. But here, people don't want a pathway access from the road if we can help it.
Yep.
Otherwise, the rent's going to come down.
Well, that's right. But if that's all you've got, it is what it is.
We
right?
work with anything. Yeah, we work with it, but it's not ideal, is it?
It's not ideal. But then when we're looking to buy properties or clients coming to us with a bit of advice, so important to try and buy something that's 3 bed, 1 bath at the front. You can get the driveway access to the rear because if you've got a closer frontage, because if you get that 560 to 600 square block, you can get a granny flat at the rear with the backyard, with the front yard, the driveway access, and then it looks subdividable.
Yeah.
And some of the values we're actually questioning, is this subdivided?
Yeah, or are you going to subdivide? Like,
That's right.
We can have that request to the client too. Make it so I can subdivide it in the future. So it can just about have all those requirements.
Correct.
You might have to add parking for the front house later on and just reduce that backyard. But we do that. We draw it accordingly.
Yeah.
Like, if they bought the right property, we can do that.
And we don't know if it's going to be able to be subdivided in the future, but we try and at least give it the best shot possible.
But with dual dwellings, you'll find the dual dwelling investments, you find that the sites that we're picking are in between that subdividable size because that's when they're going to get value. They're going to get the yields.
Yep.
So it's just
and you're buying the land because the developer doesn't want it.
That's right. Because if you're paying another $100,000 if the developer wants it to subdivide. So we're jumping in that 650 to 700 square meters,
Even less. Yeah. Like that honestly, that 580 is perfect.
So you look in between there. So it's not over. If it is, but developers are going to try and snatch it up, push up prices, and then
that 580 is a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Seriously, 580 to 610 is an absolute.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it depends on what house is on the block, but a 3 bed,
course.
1 bath, 3 bed, 2 bath, your normal single level brick.
Yep.
Perfect.
Well,
so these are the things you got to look. So someone listening, they want to look for a property themselves.
Yep.
Side access, 580 plus square meter block, and just something that the backyard. You want the house probably more at the front of the block.
That's what I was going to say because the one in Frankston South we completed, it was 650.
Yeah.
But it looked massive because the house was 100 square meters and it was forward.
Correct.
It was really, and it was square. So it's not taking up the property. It's not long, and that looks like a subdivision.
Well, it looks like a subdivision. Yeah. And the ones that we try and do, we want them to look subdivision. We would happily say everyone that we've done will look like a subdivided property. But for someone listening, number one is driveway access. Unless you're buying something that's blue chip, 1.3, 1.4 million, where the house is spread across the face of the block and you've only got, that's a different story. And then you're using the granny flat to be able to hold that asset. But if you want to try and generate actual equity from doing a granny flat, that's another misconception. If you do the right properties, you will get equity uplift. I'm a big believer in that. On the right purchase price though, right? So driveway access to the rear, making sure that by eye, look, I know a lot of people, they struggle to actually see what a granny flat would fit and what won't fit, which is pretty surprising.
Yep.
So you're just trying to look, if you're standing in that space, okay, am I going to get enough segregation from the rear of the property to the fence? That's a big one as well. Making it stand alone. You're not really interfering. When you put a fence up, you want to be able to at least get a 3.5, 4 meter backyard on the main dwelling.
Yep.
That's fair to say.
Yep.
Then another meter off that for the granny flat to start, and then the granny flat gets another 3.5 meter backyard. And then they rent out within a week.
Yeah.
Because you're either going to go and live in an apartment, well, the people that are looking for the granny flat type, they can't afford the main dwelling. So the next thing they can, at the moment, where are they going to go? They can only go to a unit complex or an apartment complex that's on 3 stories high. Now they can go to a granny flat. They can get backyard, all for the same price.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the value is.
And they might say they're listening to this and they say, oh, what do we need superior for, dual dwellings for? But, well, it could be an easement right through the property. There could be a long sewer tie through the property. There could be bad overlays on it. So don't just go purchase something over 580 because it looks right. You bring it to us and we'll do the due diligence.
Well, that's what we talk about it all the time, Frank.
I remember it was probably I sent you guys and you had a bushfire overlay and we're like, nah, can't build on it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't touch it.
And that's why we work with people like yourself, and we love that because we want to help. Because we're not buyers agents. We say we put our hand. We're not that. But for granny flat specifically, and that's what we love doing.
Yeah,
we can help people like yourself or people that come to us and actually say, yeah, you're buying a property, but can you build on it?
Yeah,
But back to point of difference, that's the difference.
and even the covenants that we
just spoke about this morning.
Single dwelling covenants, very normal. Now we remove them for clients as well. There's also covenants, to build out a brick on slab. We can do that now.
Yep.
with the old transportable model of a dependent person's unit for family, it had to be on stumps because it had to be pulled out and transported when they're no longer in it. So now we can do bricks. It can be a permanent fixture.
Yep.
So that does add value. So that this stigma that they don't add value to the capital of the house is wrong.
Yeah, okay.
It's exactly wrong. It's definitely the
got to do the right asset.
Yeah.
The right thing.
You got to do the right thing, but you can do it right. That's the other thing. It's easier to do it right than most people would think, to be fair.
Is there rules? So, like, let's say you buy a property, you're going to put a granny flat. Like, does the back unit have to have a driveway for the car? Like, do they have to,
it has to have pathway access to it.
Pathway access, yes.
It must have that.
Which can be walkway.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. Like, if you're going to go buy a property, buy the one that you can get a car down.
Yeah.
Because who wants to park their car on the street? Because a lot of the way we set, like, go back a little bit, the way we set up, most people, investors will come to us, we put a gravel pad in the front yard of the property, and that gravel pad will become for the main dwelling car parking off the street. Because a lot of the time those older houses have the entry on the side of the house, park the car, and they can only walk 10 metres to their properties. If it's raining, it's still easy. They don't really complain when they go and look at a rental. And then the granny flat can actually drive down to the rear, and they'll actually get those old brick or steel garages for their units.
Yeah.
Because it's close to or they'll just get a parking spot, right? So if you're walking down, if you've got an access that's only a walkway, and the granny flat client's got to park on the street, you can start to see a bit of friction there pretty easy.
Well, there's no privacy in the front. They're walking down past the house, which way, like we look at even the existing house, which way the windows are orientated. Like, if the house was running, sideways down the driveway, all their front living's going to be looking at the person driving in and out.
Correct.
So like we can block off one of those windows and move it around. And that's with dual dwelling investments as well. We do the renovation on the main house too. So it's a turnkey package as a developer package. So we look at it and we say, no, this needs too much work, needs restumping, needs this. You're not going to get it back. So that's where we go in, we do the fees on the front house, the granny flat, and help them purchase the property.
Okay, so you even do a reno at the front of the house, get the value up as well, and then increase the rental yield as well on that, and then do the
so we can get the plans through as if complete. The renovation with the equity uplift on the front house, and that's the best way to go about it. Nice. Obviously, we're always looking for houses that don't need renovations. The bathroom's done, the kitchen's done, so it's just paint,
cosmetics. Well, at the moment, the renovation prices don't really stack up. We've got two at the moment that definitely stack up. We're doing one that it changes a 3-bed 1-bath to a 4-bed 2-bath. So of course it stacks up, right? And then we're doing another big renovation in McLeod where it's a double story, it's a blue chip asset, we think it is, and it was just bought way undervalued. So you can do a reno on it. Yeah. But the cosmetic renos are the best at the moment.
Yeah, there's sort of nothing in between. It's cosmetic or
the full
all
kit.
in.
It's
because no one wants to touch it.
275 plus all in.
And that's because we are able to keep it a turnkey build renovation cost as well. So we're pretty spot on with that. That's like if someone to purchase it and do it themselves, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's going to blow out for sure. There's so many unforeseens.
It's a pretty good selling point. So you can get a house that's been, need a bit of work, put a granny, you guys go in there, reno the front house, put the granny on. Next thing you know, you've probably generated an extra 300-400 grand of equity.
We're doing one now for one of our own dual dwelling clients, and we're doing one for another investment company that we work closely with as well.
Yep. Do you have good case studies?
Pardon?
Any good case studies, good stories of
when they're with granny flats in general?
Yeah, granny flats or clients that you've seen that probably couldn't even do something. A granny flat, I think you mentioned before, but then they ended up doing it. Any reason why they got told that advice?
Not to do
good
it.
Question. Yeah, I was thinking for a second.
Yeah. You mean in regards to
springs to mind a good case study that springs to mind
with the renovation as well, or just the
even one or the other?
Yep. Yeah. Well, look, my niece at the moment's looking in Frankston. So they're in regards they are an ongoing case study, but they're selling a unit townhouse. They're looking for a renovator in Frankston, and they're actually going to renovate that themselves, and they're going to live in the back unit as. Technically, she's a first home buyer, but her partner, they just got engaged. He has had a share in a unit, so he sold that out. So they're going to do it. They're not going to live in the front house. They're going to live in the back house. So we're looking at a couple of properties at the moment. That's going to be a good case study because I think that's the future. I think first home buyers are going to do this. So they'll learn a bit more. They'll renovate. They'll get the equity as if complete. And they'll go all in for about $1 million, but they're gonna live in that back unit and rent the front house out. So they're going to be in a better position with that equity position and to be able to service the loan.
I think in a case study, like a lot of the clients, what we love is that they're going to have these assets that they're costing them 25 grand a year or 15 grand a year. And they all, when they come to us, they build a unit and then they negatively gear it or they're positively geared. depending on their financial situation. So like we get that all the time. You know, like we get clients that exceed the rental expectation, like that one in Mulgo for $525. We've got clients that have had them for a year that are renting out for $450, and then all of a sudden it's already $470. Then they can see it $490, and they can start doing predictions. Like it's endless. You know, for such a little spend at the start. There's like when it comes, like I can't think of a case straight off the top of my head, but I know a lot of our rental units, more so Victoria, they get $450 for a granny flat. Yeah. Depending on the area, you can quite easily get up to $600. And we got two on Baronia Road. That's a good case study. They were assets that were bought by the clients, I think 8 years ago now. 8 years ago. They're side by sides. They were going to do a development. They had single dwelling. This is a good case study actually that's come to mind. So the two assets bought side by the same family. They 8 years ago, I could be wrong. I think they bought them for $380, and then they bought the other one for $450. They had single dwelling covenants, so they couldn't develop them. That they were going to remove the covenants and do the development. We ended up removing the covenants, right, which is pretty cool. Instead of doing the development because it wasn't feasible, what did we do? 2 top of the line second dwellings, and I think both of those just got rented out by Ray White, and you can correct me if I'm including water, $540 and $570.
Right, it's huge.
It's massive. Now, these are full driveway down the rear. They got big back. They were 720 square blocks, but they got one's got a really wide driveway, one's got a really narrow driveway, but you can get all the way down the rear. They can park down the rear. And then they're top line units, so they literally look like houses where they got in just before when the council was still up in the air about whether verandas were included in the roof. So they got big 14 square metre verandas on them as well. But yeah, they're getting $540 and $570, including water. So that take about $20 to $5 out of water a week, call it $520 and $550.
Yeah,
I think that were 245k builds. Yeah, turnkey.
You look at the yield on that; it's huge.
And they increased the property. I can't remember what the valuation were, but they definitely increased the property's values. But I think if we did the numbers, if we bought them today because they're old properties, I think they got like 80 to 85k on what we projected.
Well, I know the one I'm doing for you guys, it's going to be cash flow positive going off the loan.
There you go.
And the rent I've currently got on the front house, and then when I do the granny.
Yep.
And how long you had that property for?
I've just purchased that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But live in today's market.
Just it.
There you go.
And that's what we said. Like we talk about, catering the units to the yields. So we've got at entry level, we're talking about first home buyers. We're talking about investors in that bracket of 750 as well, trying to get it positively geared straight away. We don't spruik that you're going to be making 8%, 9%, 10%. These dual key properties or apartments, but it's that hold strategy that works. The property value is going to go up. Now, the people might want to rent both out. They might want to live in one. The circumstances change. Yeah, but there's also other models where we go for that higher blue chip asset that we say, like Mornington property. That was a fine example, case study. That was a 5-unit site. Now, it's a bit on the nose with the developers at the moment.
So this is a good case study for developers.
And then had a single dwelling covenant on it. So we put $100,000 into the front house, $750 rent on that. Purchase price was $1,125. And remove the covenant over 12 months, put the back unit in.
Again, premium 245.
Premium. So both units returning about $1,500 a week in total. So it's holding, it's paying for itself. In the meantime, took that covenant off. The property value's gone up about $500,000 because it's now a 4 or 5 unit site, depending on how many you want. From removing that covenant. Jeez. So 1,350 square metre block. So that's where you can make really big money.
But I like it because the developer or whoever, the mum and dad investor or whoever it is can hold the property comfortably because of the granny flat.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Touch on that again. Yeah.
So they can hold that now for 10 years.
Yeah.
To when it stacks up the figures. Because as we're saying, don't do townhouses because they're costing $600-700.
Well, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I just did a development in Baronia.
And you get the same rent. You get the same rent. So, but it's gonna change. The landscape will change. It'll be worth building them eventually, because it's going to cost you $2 million for a townhouse there in 10 years. Yeah. So it's going to be worth building them.
But even like what you do, Frank, like you buy a lot of regional stuff, right? And is that right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is awesome, right? Because you're buying the right pockets and you're getting great returns for your clients. But now adding these granny flats to these portfolios, you're going back to the days when in Queensland they were doing those 7.5% yields. And that's what I'm excited for.
Yep.
Yeah. See those come through again,
It's only going to go up now, especially if negative gearing being removed.
Correct.
Yep. There's already a rental shortage. Rents are going to go up.
Correct.
You build a granny flat, you might get $450, $500.
Yeah.
That might be, and the extra $20, $30 a week.
Yep.
Which makes a difference.
Yeah.
And they pay, and if people are smart, and again, not spruiking financial advice, and they keep dumping that on the mortgage, they're paying these houses off. I think you worked it out the other day, like in 11 years.
Yeah.
If it's positively cash flowed, right? Depending on the financial, don't fucking take it as financial advice, but it's true. That's what people were doing in Queensland 12 years ago in Logan, when people were buying properties in Logan for 290, 320,000. You guys bought a couple then.
Yeah, we
putting these units up there.
We had 3 next door to each other. 1,000 square metre sites. Even I've got one still in Shayla Park.
Yep.
1,350 square metre site as well. They paid $420 for that pre-COVID or in the middle of COVID.
Yep.
That's worth 1.35 now. It's gone up $1 million. Now I'm holding it. It's got the unit on it. It's changes the landscape changes really quick.
So that's what Victoria's got forward to look. Victorians got look forward to that. That's
well, and those pockets like Logan, you just look proximity to the city. It was blue collar working area. It had the ability to explode. So we look at that in Melbourne. We're sort of patterning that in, the regions that are going to do that. Now we can go regional, like you were saying you do, and it works because your Ballarats and your
right pocket, it definitely works.
You're going to get higher yields, maybe a bit slower growth, but those hubs are growing as well.
Yeah.
It's that's why we love Geelong.
I love Geelong.
Geelong is going to boom.
Do you like Geelong?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, it is booming.
I don't like the new estates.
No, not the new. Yeah,
the main
pockets.
Yeah, the main pockets. Yeah.
Well, you know better than anyone, Frank, about buying more regional stuff. So I've seen your results.
Yeah, we've averaged 21% annually since we started,
which is crazy.
Last 6 years. So
crazy.
You look at that and you get a property for now we're averaging around 500K purchase price. But when we started, it was like 200, 300K.
Yeah.
Like you said, back in Ipswich, I bought a property for 300 grand.
Yeah.
Now it's worth 900 grand.
Yeah.
Crazy. We're buying in Rockhampton for 270, 290, all that now 650, 700. Yeah. For some of our clients.
And then even some of those clients now, if they want to, they can put a granny on those sites.
Yeah, definitely.
Even after those years. That's the beauty of it. It's not about just buying the properties now and then putting a granny on it to hold it. Like the ones that, like those Barone Your Road ones, like the ones that really want to increase cash flow, put a granny on an older existing property, you're going to absolutely smash it.
Yeah. I want to throw a curveball. Let's say you buy a property, you already got a tenant in there. How are you going to build the granny flat?
Love that question. We get asked it every day, every single day. So the biggest misconception is that, there's a couple of answers to that, but the biggest misconception is that you can't build a unit when there's a tenant in the front house. Now, it does come back to your lease though. Which is a big one. It goes back to property management. I know we're talking before, like property management. I want to be respectful, but it's fucking annoying, to be honest with you, because property managers, it's a hard job, number one, but they don't want to double the rent roll, because if they double the rent roll, they're going to double their output, right? So dealing with that side of it can be quite difficult, but getting the right leases in place is the biggest thing. So you can't just go build a unit if the lease is already in place, but doesn't mean you can't go get all the designs and permits done. So if we say our design and permit process is 3 months, and you've only got 5 months on your lease left, well, we say, hey, let's get it going now. So when that lease finishes, you can get into it straight away. And they can prepare the tenant on the new lease saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. You have 2 options. You can either leave, or we can sign the new lease on the new terms and so forth and so forth. But that's the ideal situation. But we really encourage the clients to make sure that they're getting rent from the front dwelling while we're constructing in the rear, because we'll go and put the fences up. We'll go do temporary fencing if we have to. We run the services out to the rear so we don't impact the front tenant. And then getting these fences up allows us not to have to get entry notices, because the new lease will stipulate this is your property. This is not your property. So we can go in and out of the property as we please, which is so much easier to build. But the biggest misconception, do not empty your property. Do not have it vacant for 3 months while we're on site. Exactly. Generate the rents as much as you can. And if a property manager is telling you that it needs to be vacant, it's utter bullshit. It's not. You want it because the tenants, let's face it, they will go to the property manager. They will say, there's too much noise, the music's on at 8 o'clock, this and that. Well, it is what it is. It's building site at the end of the day. But you have to have the right lease in place. That's really important.
And what you'll find, so we've got one at the moment in Bayswater. So we've got the permit, plans, everything through. The lease has just run out. So we've gone back to the property manager and said, okay, these are the plans. This is what we want to do. Professional document saying we're going to have entry for 2 days to get the fence in, get the services in. This will be the new driveway. We recommend that you keep the rent the same in compensation for the noise. We're in and out quick anyway. Like we said, 7 days we've got the structure up. They have the choice to pull out then and get a new tenant. Now, if they do pull out, if the tenant says I'm out, we quickly go in and do those 2 days of services, fence, everything, and then release it. Okay, so But what you'll find is the property managers hate it. So we go and put that proposal to them and they'll say, oh, you're not going to get the same rent. You know, what are you doing? They're going to lose all their yard. And they're completely wrong. Because if the people came along and it was already like that, they wouldn't know any better.
Correct.
So
that's the biggest answer.
If they wouldn't know any better if it was already set up. So it is good to try and keep the tenants in there and discount their rent if you have to.
To keep them, but in saying that,
Cashflow.
if you do rent it out new, like this is, you can mark my words, you won't have to drop your rent.
No.
So if you're getting 500 for the main dwelling, let's just say for whatever that tenant wanted to leave, you could release it at 500 with the new fencing, knowing that they've lost a bit of their backyard. I guarantee you get 500.
Yeah.
For the right property though, yeah?
Yeah,
Not if it's going to be touching the building, but most of the time, I've had it on my own properties where I thought I'm not going to lose rent here, didn't lose a dollar.
Yeah. As long as you give them that, like we said, that 4 meter backyard with a shed, with a clothesline.
Yeah.
It's just like a unit.
Yeah.
You know, you get the same rent. Whatever the median rent is in the area for
100%.
3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, it will be spot on.
Yeah.
We have not seen
unless it's not the right site. We always say that, but we can't control everyone's site.
Yeah.
Well, I rented mine out. I told the property manager what I was going to do, but prior to that, they gave me an appraisal, and then I got what I got, and then I told them, hey, make sure this is in the lease, because I'm putting the granny flat on. And they're like, yep, no dramas.
And your site's
no
Ripper site, the one we're doing for.
Yeah, I've got
You got
relay
laneway
access. It works out good.
It's awesome.
So if you can find them all like that, that'd be awesome. But
Well,
And
we got one like that in Belmont, but we're doing relay and access. It's a really cool site.
in Geelong,
In Geelong, yes. It's in Belmont, blue chip, from an owner-occupied location, really cool street. A lot of works have been done in the street. Got an old relayway access so we can put a fence just straight across the property and it's going to look properly subdivided.
We've got one in Thornbury as well.
One in Thornbury,
That's really cool. Really cool. What, 7 Ks from the city.
Yeah.
So that's where it can work in those. You're not just looking at entry level assets. It can work in those inner city blue chip ones. If you get them for the right price, if it's a renovator, you're willing to sit on it. You're getting it's positively geared or slightly negative geared.
Well, funny, like I've actually been seeing, and this is like I do a lot of my own developing with another company that I've got, but I've actually been exploring. It's funny that you say that. Is doing these really nice architectural knockdown rebuilds, but actually putting a granny flat and seeing how it goes in the market. I've seen someone else do it, to be honest. And it's like dual living in Melbourne's massive now for kids, because if you speak, a lot of our clients will come in and say they're so worried for their kids.
yeah,
They're so worried for their kids. They're so worried for their kids. It's not so much I need to move my parents in anymore. You're always going to get that in granny flat land, but a lot of them now, I reckon, correct me if I'm wrong, I reckon 65% of people worried about their kids not being able to live somewhere comfortably, or if they're going to move out, it's going to be into a bit of a low socioeconomic area where they don't want to put their kids just so they can go live. So this dual living is becoming massive now. So I reckon that's another play that's going to be these nice developers that are doing knockdown rebuilds a lot in the inner north will start putting granny flats on there.
And not even knockdown rebuilds. Like you think about it, what we've had over the years, even with the family ones, is families coming together.
Yes.
So they're selling their assets. So the kids have got a house, but they're too far. They're 40 minutes away from work. The parents have got a house in Toorak, say, so they sell those two. They come together on an acreage property or something that's central for the whole family. That's going to become the new norm, I think. So they'll be rolling their funds in together, purchasing properties where they want to live with the land size to be able to put the second dwelling on. Now, they can choose whether to have the internal fences and have that separate living, or they can add that later because they've got flexibility to move on. So I think that's going to be huge as well.
I think dual living will be massive.
yeah.
It's the next 10 years.
Like you said before, it's a golden piece when you said owner-occupiers are buying a house, putting a dual living or a granny flat at the back.
Yep.
And if they rent that out, it's going to help cover their mortgage,
Correct.
or they live in the back and rent the front house out. Like it's just,
And
I think that's the way.
It's the way-
Now it's where things are going.
They got no choice.
Yeah.
And even going back to a couple of steps to negative gearing, even for investors, there's no tax breaks anymore. So this doesn't make any sense anymore, buying these properties and not at least trying to live in the property and then generate rent. Do you know what I mean? So you might as well live there.
Yeah.
Have you guys gone busy since the budget, since the negative gearing removing of capital gains?
I think everyone's waiting for the end of the financial year to make sure everything gets passed.
The leads
through.
are there, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Our lead generation has not stopped. Between Victoria and Queensland, we do 400 quotes a month just from the building company.
Yep.
Selling in Victoria, we're not selling like we probably used to, but we know it's once that everyone clicks, this is the new norm, all those leads that we've already done, is just going to, I reckon the back end of the year, it's going to steamroll. Because people, like Dougie always says, it's just, when people realize it's the new norm, what do? Everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
But there's always a scarcity period, right? Which is quite common.
And you think about all those people that are holding investment properties. Now, I know they're grandfathering it, but they're just going to say, I'm going to hold them and put granny flats on them as well. Like, you know, we just think it's actually going to boom. But the government's trying to get everyone into new houses, the first home buyers, but it won't happen. It's under their nose. To what they can buy existing properties in that 700 to 900, get the first home buyer's grant, then put this unit in, live in the back.
Yeah.
Or live in the front. And not someone living on top of you. It's not a boarding house where they come in and use your bathroom. They've got a separate access. So that we've got to get rid of that stigma.
The stigma.
I think everyone thinks a granny flat, there's going to be someone walking through my backyard while I'm out there, you know. But it's not the case at all.
Taking a piss on the lemon tree and you walk through the window. What's going on here?
Yeah, like, you know,
but it's true. We laugh, but it's true.
We're sharing the pool.
Yeah.
But you know, there is situations where that happens, Airbnbs and stuff like that. But it's all different now.
Yeah.
The houses.
Well, you can even do an Airbnb for the granny flat too, can't you?
You can. We got we did one for a friend of mine. She actually rang me the other day. We did one in, I always say the suburb wrong, Kensington. It's not
Kensington.
No, not in the city. It's near Bendigo or Ballarat.
Bendigo, yep.
Kennington.
Yep.
And it's a superior range unit because she always had the thought she might want an Airbnb or she's just going to do a normal rental. But she ended up Airbnb it, and she's been getting $900 a week.
Jesus Christ!
Like and I've seen it. No bullshit. I'll show you after this. Like they landscaped it. They did crazy paving. They fenced it. Like they made it really cool. They did loom lighting and made it like on
really
Airbnb.
nice.
Yeah.
But it's in a good spot because people do travel down there. They get away for the weekends. They want to stay 3 or 4 days down in those areas now because those regional towns are booming. They got a lot going for them. Yep. And she's been consistently getting $900 a week right now. And they'll probably only get $450 maybe because it's big land.
Yep.
Week on week, but she's been consistently getting $900 a week. It's blew my mind.
What's a yield on that? Like 12% or something, probably.
Well, more. On 450, it's close to 11%. So she's probably getting 18% yield.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's
something we haven't even touched on. Like these holiday areas, which once again the state government has destroyed with the Airbnb taxes, like your Phillip Islands and that the markets are as flat as anything. Well, so those people holding those assets, why wouldn't they put second small dwellings on? They can either still rent out the front one and use the back unit, or Airbnb.
Well, people used to try and do it in Apollo Bay.
Yeah, well, we did a couple in Apollo Bay.
We had a house. My family had a house.
Well, there you go. Yeah. We used to have to do them as detached extensions, so we couldn't. They would Airbnb them legally because they would do no kitchens.
Yep.
Because detached extensions have been around for forever and a day, but a detached extension is dependent on the main dwelling, but you can't have it as its own standalone dwelling. And that's how they would do Airbnbs. You know, but these areas they're going to boom with Airbnbs.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you've got a property that's worth 650, 700 on Phillip Island or Inverloch or something like that, you've got flexibility. Once again, you can use the back unit and Airbnb it in between and then rent the front house out full time. So you've got that steady income, so you're not stressing about it. You've got that land sitting there, use it. It's going to unlock all that land. That's what it's doing. And
that's where we're still educating.
Yeah. Melbourne is so far behind.
We'll get there. Like we won't let it. Like we want to make it happen, you know. But it's just education, getting in front of as many people as possible. Just to like we're doing now, talking with you. You probably see it as well. You probably when you start talking to your clients, like it's just the education piece in Melbourne.
Yeah, it is.
It's massive, man.
And you need to, if you want to build a portfolio, you need to scale it. And the only way to scale it, if it's to keep running negative geared, you can't.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense anymore, man. Like I think I said to you on the phone the other day, I can't. And people will probably go against me for this, but I just can't understand why anyone would want to buy a property that is negatively geared and not put a granny flat on that to make it as close to a positively geared as possible. It just doesn't make any sense to me anymore why you would go spend $1 million on a property. It's going to cost you $25,000 a year out of your hard-earned money, which, let's be honest,
probably even more sometimes.
Even more. And let's be honest, how many people in Australia can honestly hold a property, just dumping $25,000 negatively into a property with no tax breaks, and not to say, hey, if I spend another $240,000 or $230,000 so it's completely tenant ready, the property will just pay for itself. I can't understand. People can't understand that. But people, when you speak to them, I can't loan for it. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. Who's telling you can't loan for it? Because number one, you're building something to pay for the granny flat and your mortgage. So who said you can't loan for it?
Yeah.
Like that's just a cop-out excuse. That's the first cop-out excuse you're going to get. The second cop-out is, is it going to devalue the property? How do we do? Like, everyone just makes it too hard. It's not hard.
And what they do, they go for investments like a new house on a 450 square meter lot where it's endless estates. and an apartment in the city. Now, but I didn't have to pay stamp duty. It's off the plans. The developer's tripled that when he's put it on the build costs, like they're on 450 square metre block of land, they're spending 770, 800 on a house. Oh, but it's brand new. You can go back into the hub if it's near a regional hub and buy a house for, probably half the price.
Yeah.
And that is it. Your investment journey is done. You're locked in then with that unit, and it's a weight around your neck. And we know that from the Docklands, it hasn't been a success.
You've experienced it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, I had a 3-bedroom unit there, which I got off market at a good rate. I think I paid everything back and maybe made 50 grand over 5 or 6 years, but that was premium. That was waterfront, 3-bedroom, and just got out of it.
And it's only because not to go against, but it's only because you bought well.
And it wasn't brand new. So I got it at a good price.
Yeah.
So the original owner probably paid 1.3 for it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So people are buying these units in there for 800-900, and they're only worth 600. So that's what we keep saying. That's the strategies. The stamp duty saving is just, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the strategy as well, like people buy established property, right? That strategy hasn't changed, but you're a big, you got to pivot. So if negative gearing gets taken away, what are you going to do? You're going to put a granny flat.
Yep.
I know I keep saying that, but what else do you do?
Yeah.
Like I can't think of another strategy that you
commercial,
would do.
but
Go
we were
commercial.
talking about this before.
Yeah.
I think commercial is like, yields are there. People think it's going to get busier now because of what's happening with the SMSFs and the negative gearing. But then I look at it as like, there's no incentive for builders, businesses.
Yeah.
Is that you're going to see a lull in that and rents will, start to skyrocket because
How many businesses need a factory is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you were thinking is exactly what I was thinking.
But even,
is that they're stimulating so the developers are going to go out and build factories everywhere now too. So which oversupply factories. No one in Australia, especially Victoria, wants to set up companies now with the capital gains tax. They're incentivizing no one to set up companies. This government.
But predominantly, like you said an interesting thing before about builders going broke. I think it was 20,000
builders before COVID. Now it's 12,500.
Now the smart developers within the commercial, which I follow a couple of them, they're building stuff that's not for builders, they're going to keep e-commerce and storages and all that jazz, right? But if there's 8,000 less builders who predominantly rent out factories, who's going to rent the factories?
That's right.
Yeah.
True? Who is literally going to rent the factories?
And that's what we were saying in the example before of commercial assets you can get long leases, great returns.
Of course.
But what if they sit empty for a year? Can you afford to hold it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
If that asset's, worth $5 million or that and it's sitting there not getting its yield, like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. Very quickly. And it's, it's happening. It's happening to a lot of people. Yeah. We know people that's happening to. So you got to structure your portfolio so it's always safe, that the worst case scenario. Just say, like, you've got that dual dwelling situation. If there's a tenant not in there for 3 months, it's not going to hurt you.
Well, because you're going to get at least rent from one of the dwellings.
Yeah.
That's another thing to touch on.
Yeah. That's
how we one of the de-risking questions that we answer is, if someone's not going to rent it, it's not going to be rented for less than 2 weeks. Realistically, they're going to rent out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But at least you're going to get income from one of the dwellings.
Yeah. It's a selling point.
And it's pretty simple. It's the hold strategy. It's not the get rich quick strategy, unless you're buying in that higher end blue chip and we can renovate the whole house and take covenants off. But just that slow burn over the 10 years, you're going to set yourself up. 3-4 of these properties, the yields are going to increase as the property values go up and the rents go up.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Definitely.
So, and I don't think there's any other investment strategy now.
I don't think there is.
I think
but people think I say we're
either way.
Yeah. Oh, it could be shares, but that's all taxed as well now as well.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Capital gains on shares are the same. So they've really killed the whole investing market. So
we'll see what the future brings.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to go up more. That's my take anyway. But
it just doesn't make any sense, man. I kept saying that. Like you're not gonna. I wouldn't burn 25K of my own money just to hold a property in hope. By the way, in hope that it goes up. That's what people don't realize. At least if it doesn't go up over 10 years, at least I know it paid for itself. In simple terms.
And that's the thing. Like that you've burnt those years, and if you're not working, you're not going to be able to get the loans, and you've lost that window.
Yep.
It's got to be, like you said, de-risk, safe structure, proven structure. Not new housing. It's like we just hate new housing estates, and especially
I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I've been burnt myself there. So
well, everybody that comes to us has had that story.
Yeah,
especially in their self-managed super fund as well, because they're like that. people, because it's in a self-managed super fund, they don't see it as actual, money. It's sort of it's just there. I'll just use it. I'm buying a house. That's cool. But they've just ruined like they could have left it in their super fund and made 8-9%, and they've put it into an asset that was off the plan. It's gone down in value, and they've stuffed their future.
Yeah,
it's
they really have. So
we've talked a lot. There's a lot of golden nuggets. Where can people find you if they're watching, listening?
Social media,
yeah.
Google.
Yeah. We've got
Superior Granny Floods. That's the biggest one.
We've got large facilities, Bayswater, Mountain Highway, so 874 Mountain Highway, Bayswater, Underwood,
6 Graham Street, Underwood.
Yep.
Display. We actually got display. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Nice. From the building point of view, that's the other thing. You're gonna meet us. That's the other. Well, it's true because people actually come into the office. They'll actually see us. They'll meet us. They meet our teams in both states, and that's what people love, to be honest, because they're still spending 200 grand plus on an asset. So when they can actually come and touch and meet us, that's what we love to do as well with the clients.
Yeah.
And also Queensland and Vic.
Correct.
Guys working.
Yeah, that's right. So we move in between both states. But like I said, we're approachable. We're on scale, but we're always available to anyone. And we care about every single site. People, like I said, we get involved.
It's their livelihood. We hear always it's their livelihood.
We get involved with their journey.
Yeah.
And we love those stories 10 years later, and they've got 4 or 5 properties and they've done really well. That's what we want.
Awesome. You can see you guys love it.
Yeah,
you love it. You love the journey, love the passion, love the...
Live and breathe it. Yeah. We just want the title of the number one granny flat builders. Like I said,
we live and breathe grannies.
We chase those Google reviews. We've got 400 over 2 states. So, it's unheard of compared to the other
mobs.
So...
You're doing something right, so thanks for coming on.
Frank.
We'll probably bring you guys in 6-12 months again.
We'll have another chat.
Sounds good, mate. We'll see what the budget has done.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. Definitely.